No?
Yes, it's so you can see here where people haven't joined just yet.
Oh, okay.
And then you have here on Instagram 2 people.
Well, it's got a recording going now, isn't it? Or is that me? No.
So, what was the question, Doc?
Oh, I just saw some stuff on there. I was saying, is that a recording of me from my old thing? Oh, that was me right now.
Oh, gotcha. This is you right now.
Let me see if I can turn this to get it away from that reflection. There we go. All right, we got Instagram up.
All right. Let's do this.
Got the banner.
Okay. You should be able to.
Let's see. Let's get this down. So.
All right. And you're live.
Hello, hello. Sorry about that, you guys. Turn your camera down. Like that. Let me get this. Sorry about you guys, everyone. Let's see. Okay. Excuse me. Here we go. Okay, tonight we're talking about the heart. And if you have any questions now, sorry about the delay, you guys. There was a lot of stuff going on. A few technical difficulties, but we got it now. And we should be able to do it fine any other day from now. So we're going to talk. Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask a question first, since I'm always asking you to ask me questions. What do you think the number one muscle in the body is? Any ideas? What is the most important muscle in the body? Let me ask that. Is it your chest? Is it your biceps, your triceps, your abs, your glutes, your hams, your quads? What do you think it is? Anybody have any idea? Well, let's jump right in since we're a little delayed, and so I want to be able to finish up. Let's see. Yes, Sunny Lee, thank you. Cool. Yes, the heart. The heart is the number one muscle in the body. And what people don't know about the heart is that it has to continue to beat. It's always working, continuously working. I always think of the heart like a shark. You know, a shark never sleeps. He just keeps swimming and swimming and swimming. And he's a predator, and he's always out for the hunt. And so your heart is always doing what it's supposed to do to pump blood that carries oxygen and nutrients to every cell in the body. And so when the heart stops, you got a problem. But it's just more than that. The thing is, you may not know it, but there's a thing called the sinoatrial node. I know it sounds like a big word, but it's the SA node. And it controls the electricity in the heart. And I know you think of the heart just simply as a muscle, a strong muscle, a muscle that has to work continuously, but it's more than that. It has its own electrical system. And because of that, the heart is affected by your thinking, by your emotions, by your attitude, by the state that you're in. And that's what's important. Even when you think about it, I've told people lots of times, you can eat the right food. You can eat raw fruits, vegetables, juices. You can eat live foods that comes out of the earth as close to nature as possible. But because of what you think, feel, and believe, it can change the rate of the heart. So if you think about the electrical system of the heart, and I just want to get you guys up to speed because we think of the heart just simply as a muscle, but because it has its own electrical system, it's affected by our nervous system. And so we all know when we get sad, depressed, anxious, or worried, we can know how it affects our posture, how it affects our breathing, how it affects our electrical system, how it affects our immune system, how it affects every single system in the body. But the heart, as a matter of fact, there's a scripture in the Bible says that the heart knows its own bitterness, and a stranger intermeddleth not with his joy. I know that sounds funny, but what it translates to is, you remember that saying, nobody knows the trouble I've seen? You can try to explain to a friend, a husband or wife, or partner, whatever, and try to tell them how sad you feel about something. And they can think like, well, that's no big deal. I mean, why does that bother you? Why are you worried about that? Why does that make you sad, depressed, anxious, or worried? It doesn't matter. It makes you sad, depressed, anxious, and worried because of how you think about it, how it affects you. And that's the whole thing. Humans, we're meaning-making machines. And if something affects you that way, it affects you that way. And for someone else to disregard it is just like in the Bible it says, the heart knows its own bitterness. It knows it, whether you know it or not. And then when it says a stranger intermeddleth not with his joy, you can't even really explain the joy that you feel behind something. Now, you can share it. You can absolutely share it. And people can be happy for you and they can cheer you on. But they still don't get it like you get it. So they don't understand the joy that you feel when you're joyous, even though you can try to share it and use all the articulate words that you can come up with. They still don't get it because it's in you. It's your heart, it's your mind, it's your thinking, it's your feeling, it's your believing about whatever that circumstance is. And it's the same thing when it's something bitter. So now you can understand why the heart knows its own bitterness and the stranger doesn't understand its joy. They don't know the bitterness or the joy that's in your heart. But see, I said one time before, remember I said the feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep. And that's exactly what happens with the heart. When you're sad, depressed, anxious, and worried, it affects your heart like nothing else. And it literally changes because it has its own electrical system. It can change the rhythm of your heart. And the rhythm of your heart is controlled by, again, the SA node, the sinoatrial node. But because of how you're feeling, now you can have what's called arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats. And then because of the toxins and the things that we consume, what we eat, what we drink, what we breathe in, what we put on the skin, and also, again, now what we think, feel, and believe, it affects the heart. And as we age, if you will, the longer that we are on the planet and allow more waste to accumulate, it can affect our heart to the point that we have to go get a pacemaker. So that's what the sinoatrial node does. That's what the SA node does. It controls the pace, the rhythm of the heart. And you need that rhythm. But see, you can get in a way where now the heart rate slows down. So you can have what's called bradycardia. The heart rate can just get so slow, you need a pacemaker to get it back on rhythm. Or it can not have a rhythm. As a matter of fact, it can not have a rhythm to the point where it's really not even beating. It's like jello. It's like, it's just vibrating. And that's when we come in and do the shock. I'm sure you've seen that on TV and these medical programs. In other words, it goes into what's called fibrillation. It's just really just vibrating and shaking like jello. And so we have to put on what they call a defibrillation. And that's the only shockable rhythm that we have. But what impacts that, you guys? Yes, of course, is what you eat and drink and breathe in and put on the skin and what you think, feel, and believe. But you have to understand, again, the heart gets its circulation, pumps it out to the rest of the cells, but it also pumps it to itself. And it has to get it to itself so it can do its job. So think about that, and now think about inactivity. How do you get the heart beating faster? How do you increase the heart's reserve capacity? Because that's what we're talking about tonight. Remember the 5 factors of aging. As you get older, you lose muscular strength, you increase body fat, your lungs actually shrink. You can lose 20% by the time you're 40, 40% by the time you're 70, if you're not deliberately creating an oxygen debt. And it can be worse than that because you can be a smoker, you can be a sitter. So you'll go over and beyond that. You can just remember sitting is the new smoking, not having great sleep. That can make the heart slow down. That can make the heart beat faster. It can change all kinds of rhythms in the heart. And then loneliness. Of course, it affects the heart. And I'm sure a lot of you felt it during the pandemic. Even though you might talk to each other over the phone or whatever else like that, is not the same as being there. But think about that. That electrical rhythm, because it's tied to our electrical rhythm, which is called the nervous system. So that's why it's so affected. But the thing is, The only way you can strengthen the heart is through the physical body, is through exercise. So in other words, if your exercise is limited and you don't move and you go more into more inactivity, you should understand that your heart is doing the same thing. So think of it like this, like an equation. What your muscles are doing, or the strength of your muscles, literally affects the muscle of the heart. I want you to get that. So think, if you're lazy, your heart's going to be lazy. If you're apathetic, depressed, anxious, worried, your heart's going to be apathetic, depressed, anxious, and worried. No, really, if you live a passive lifestyle, a complacent lifestyle, an apathetic lifestyle, your heart becomes complacent, passive, and apathetic. I know you would never think of it like that, but so many people live their entire lives, like I said, just driving to work, miles and miles. It may take them an hour to get to work. Sit there in the car, sit there at their desk, sit all day, go get lunch, sit down, get back in the car, drive all the way back, sit down and have dinner, sit down and watch TV, go to bed, which is now lying down, get back up the next day long enough to get dressed, to get back in the car, sit down, and drive back to work. And we do that week in and week out for what, 40, 50, 60 years? And you wonder why people die when they get to a certain age. Well, it has nothing to do with the age. It does, in a sense, is because you allowed this sedentary lifestyle, maybe these bad foods and fluids, and these acid thoughts and feelings and belief systems to affect the heart. And if you guys have any questions, just jump right in, because I know this is different material. I mean, to think about it, I was on the fire department 32 years. And so more than anything, people think our job was really about fires, because they go, oh, he's a firefighter. Literally 95+% of our calls were medical. They were not fires. I know, even though you saw the Watts riots and we literally got 3 fires every 60 seconds, those were some amazing days. But again, by and large, the calls that we get are medical calls. And out of those medical calls, heart. I see it over and over again. And I told you last time, when heart attacks usually happen? Monday morning, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And so when we get a call about a heart at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we just assume it's real. So we rush, we get over there, go in and try to intervene, because people don't want to go to work. They're living a life that's complacent. They're living a life that's tolerated. And anyone that knows me know that I always say, the life you live is the life you tolerate. And you think like, well, what does that got to do with the heart? And you may even say, I don't tolerate my life. Well, if you don't like the way it is and you don't change it, yes, you are tolerating it. That's exactly it. Okay, tell me, do you love your life the way it is right now, today? Right now in this 0 to 5 seconds, do you love your life the way it is? If you even have to stop and think about it, no, you don't, because you aspire to things. You might say to yourself, well, when I retire, I'm going to start living. Or when I graduate, I'm going to start living. Or when I get married, I'm going to start living. Or when I get divorced, I'm going to start living. Or when I have a baby, I'm going to start living. Or when my kids get out of the house and go to college, I'm going to start living. Or when I buy this new house, I'm going to start living. Or when I get this new car, I'm going to start living. We're always waiting something. That literally is an indication that you are not living. If your life is always in the future, if it's always outside of yourself, if it's always far away, if there's always some contingency of something has to happen for you to start living, you're telling your cells, tissues, and organs that you're not living. And you may not even be thinking you're telling yourself that, but it does. Remember how I said the body adapts to what you demand of it? And so you don't make any demands. You're literally telling yourself 24/7, I am not living. I am not living. I am is everything. I try to tell people, we said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Well, I say, I am is the way, the truth, and the life. Because what you say about a situation, think about it like this. Whatever you think about a person or a situation is your treatment of that condition. And if you want that condition to change, you have to treat it differently by a change in thought. So think about this. How do you think about your husband? That's how you treat him. How do you think about your wife? That's how you treat them. How do you think about your job? That's how you treat it. How do you think about your children? That's how you treat them. How do you think about your coworkers or friends? That's how you treat them. Maybe some people you don't like very much, and without you knowing it, that's how you treat them. Oh, the energy comes off. I know this seems like it's so not directly related to the heart. Everything you think, feel, and believe is directly related to your heart. And see, we talk about stress. Stress is the 21st century word for fear. Oh yeah, it's really fear. And I love how the Bible talks about men's hearts will fail them for fear and looking upon the things that are coming upon the earth. And we know how we all felt during the pandemic. We're like, this is impossible. This shouldn't even be happening. My whole life is constrained now. Now it's like, we even have words for it. And you know the words you had for it. Like now you're confined, you shut up, and everything that I said, everything that they chose you to do was in direct opposition to life and long life and health and heart health. Because what did they do? Tell you to stay at home, which kind of forces the issue of inactivity. So now you're going to go out. Couldn't go to the movies, couldn't go to dinner, couldn't go to libraries, couldn't go to places where people are gathered. So now you sit at home, you get more and more complacent and apathetic and passive and inactive. But then as they put a mask on when you did get out. So now you're rebreathing your own air. Everyone needs fresh air. And I told you about the lungs.
Remember, I found this on the web for talk about stress. Stress is the 21st century word for fear. Fear and alarm of the Bible talks about man's heart with hearts will fail them.
Oh, wow. My computer is so new, it's giving me definitions now. But you think about it, you guys. And when I say what you think about your husband or wife or spouse or friend or situation, it affects you the way you think about it. And the only way that thing can change is you be changing how you think about it. So like right now, how do you think about your job? And the reason why I say that is because you give so much time to it. 8, even 9 hours a day, or we call it 40 hours a week. And then you try to buy yourself back on the weekend because you spent yourself all week long. And so Friday night, you're like, such a relief. And then Saturday, you cruise through it and feel good and try to do something extraordinary from your tolerating kind of week. And then on Sunday, you have half of the day. And by Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, you start thinking about work again. And if you don't like it and you tolerate it and you're putting up with it, that's when people have heart attacks because they haven't done the physical work to create a reserve in the heart. When I talk about the heart, I say it's creating the reserve in your heart. It's your cardiac output. So think of heart and output. How much your heart can pump every time it pumps. So think about a marathon. A marathoner can have a heart rate of like 40 beats per minute, 37 beats. Most people's heart is inactive is like 60 beats a minute, 62, 65, 70. Now your heart is working overtime. And it shouldn't have to. If the heart is stronger, it can push or squeeze out more blood with less time and less beats, which is better for you. And that's what you want. You know why you want that reserve? Remember last week, I talked about when you make a sudden move and you can get sore or hurt from it or get injured. Well, even making a sudden move, think about this, or an unexpected exertion. And that's what really gets people. So like I said, if you're trying to catch the bus because that's your means of transportation and you know you're going to be late for work, so you got to catch the bus. All of a sudden the bus comes and you see it and it takes off and now you run after it to try to get it. Face plant, heart attack. Or you're walking down, you can be anywhere. You can be at Home Depot and here comes a guy with a forklift and he just misses you because he hasn't seen you. Now you have to run and get out of the way. Or you can be walking in the neighborhood and all of a sudden someone's dog comes flying out and jumps over the fence. And now you got to go up. Heart rate, it just goes through the roof and you don't have that reserve. And this is what I mean by reserve. Like I was saying, if you're in a small car, maybe a 4-cylinder car that just gets you a gas saver, it goes from here to there. But if you're on a freeway and that big rig comes over on you into the lane, you'll step on that passing gear to try to get out of the way. If you don't have enough reserve capacity or reserve speed in that car to take off because it has such a small engine, that big rig comes over you and crushes you. But if you were in a Vet, a Lamborghini, something that has lots of reserve that can go from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, that's reserve. You step on it and bam, you go, you're out of the way. You need that reserve, because I'm telling you guys, as much as I did it for 32 years on the fire department, waking me up at midnight, 1:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning from a dead sleep to go run a 10K, no warm up, take off, come outside of the station, all of a sudden there's this big fire, this big loom up. Now your heart beats even faster. If you don't have that reserve capacity, you can go down. And firefighters, I will tell you, firefighters probably have more heart attacks than the average person. You may not know it's actually the most dangerous job in the world. And I've had friends, 50 years old, coming up out of the water in Cancun with his fiance, face plant. 32-year-old rookie that I had, just worried and stressed because I don't know if you guys remember when it was a writer's strike, and he actually had a mobile home, or a motor home, I should say, that he rented to the studios because it was really fabulous. But now that it was a writer's strike, he couldn't afford to pay it. I told him, I said, sell the thing, give it back, turn it back in. You have a whole career in front of you. He was just 32 years old. But I guess he tried to keep it or whatever, stressed about it, 32-year-old heart attack. Well, you would think, like, what does having a motorhome have to do with a heart attack? Well, it doesn't matter what you stress about. Again, the heart knows its own bitterness. When somebody says, why are you stressing about that? All they're saying is, I don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand, but you understand. And what you have to do is see it in an entirely different way. That's why I say humans are meaning-making machines. And when you make something mean that is crucial, that is sad, that is depressing, anxiety-forming, you have to shift your thinking with it, because how you think about it is how you treat it. I mean, think about it. How do you think about rain? Some people love the rain. Some people say, gosh, man, this is LA. It's not supposed to rain. Some people love the cold. We can complain about it. I don't like it, but if I'm skiing, if I'm snow skiing, I have a whole different view of the snow, of the cold. Now I love it because I'm entering into it with another mindset. But if it's just cold and I'm not enjoying the cold for cold's sake, no, you don't like it. Then some people love hot. Some people love to go to Palm Springs or go to where it's hot all the time. That's what they love. Why? It's because of how they think about it. Your entire life is lived according to how you think about it. Your life literally is a demonstration. Literally is a demonstration of what you think, feel, and believe. That's what your whole life spins on. Your decisions decide your life. And what decides your decisions? How you think about it. And how you think about it runs your life. And by and large, it's out of the subconscious mind, because society has put this thing on you. I call it a cultural hypnosis. Really, the culture has told us how to think, feel, and believe. And the more you give yourself to social media, and I know you're looking at me probably on Facebook or Instagram, this, that, or whatever, but whatever you're looking at, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of these things, if it's not enlivening your life, it's not feeding your life, it's going to affect your heart. Listen to it. Think about it like this. Whatever you eat or drink can affect your heart, can affect your body, can affect your cells, tissues, and organs. So if you're consuming junk food, processed foods, cooked foods, foods that aren't even really food, I don't even know why they attach the word food to it. There's no such thing as junk food. But our culture is hypnotized to say, well, we call it junk food. It's not food. It's junk. And we just attach food to it. So just imagine when you eat crap, or junk food, if you will, things that are not even foods, that they've been manipulated to affect your body in a totally different way. Well, think about what you look at, what you pay attention to, what you read, what you watch, what you taste, what you touch, what you feel. When you use your 5 senses to come in contact with the physical world, you're eating that. You're consuming that. That's affecting. You can say, oh, no, this doesn't bother me. Oh, yeah, it does. Because it's going right in. Remember I said before, whatever you pay attention to comes to live in you as your thought life. And it's worked out in your destiny and circumstances. Whatever you pay attention to, and when you pay attention, how do you pay attention? The only way you can pay attention is through your 5 senses. And your 5 senses represent your physical body. And your physical body is not just connected to the mind. Your physical body literally is the expressed image of the invisible mind. It is literally the barometer of what happens physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, financially. Your body takes it on. However you think about it, that's how it affects your body. That's why we're told to rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. It's like, wait a minute, I can't rejoice about this. Well, that's the secret. It wants to keep you at a right vibration, a right energy, a right frequency. But see, when we have the energy and vibration and frequency that doesn't give life and health to our cells and tissues and organs, it affects the electrical system in your body, which affects the electrical system of your heart. And that's why people's heart shakes. That's why they have this need a defibrillation, because the heart just shakes and it takes it on. And I know there are different organs in the body. You know, the liver is the organ of worry or whatever, and you get depressed, but it affects your entire body, you guys. What we call stress, like I said, it's a euphemism for fear. It's just a pretty word for fear. And fear fires off your adrenal glands. So think about it. When you're afraid, it sends you into fight, flight, or freeze. And yes, we forgot about that part. We think about fight, or freeze. And see, people freeze. You've seen them on TV. You've seen them these shows and something happens and they just don't even move. They can't even believe it's happening. Why? I call it the suspension of disbelief. In other words, what's occurring right in front of them is so disbelievable that they can't even believe it's happening. And because they can't believe it's happening, they just sit there. I can't believe this is happening. They don't say it to themselves. They just can't believe it's happening because they never had an occurrence like that. Well, I grew up on the fire department. 32 years of things occurring out of the ordinary. Just left, right, up, down, in and out, all kinds of emergencies. You name them, I've seen them. I mean, literally, like I said, a guy jumped off a train and the momentum of him jumping off the train, it caught his left foot and penduled him under the train. So it cut off his right leg, his left foot, and it degloved him. It's like pulling a glove, the skin off your hand like a glove, like Terminator. But you know, I threw him on the gurney, but I still have to be calm. That's my job. I have to see this situation that happened to this gentleman in a calm manner because he's getting worse and I can't go, yeah, no. So that's why I had to, listen, you guys, and this is what I'm going to tell you to do. I had to tell my thoughts what to think, my feelings how to feel, and my body how to behave. That's what I tell people all the time. You are not your body. You are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. It's not you. People go like, yeah, I am my thoughts. No, you're not. And when you get that realization, you can understand how you can tell your thoughts what to think. Remember, the mind does exactly what it thinks you want it to do. And you're the one thinking it, even though it may be a suggestion from someone else. It can be a suggestion from TV, from a movie, from social media. And when we bombard ourselves with that thing, again, whatever we pay attention to comes to live in us as our thought life. And when we pay attention to something repeatedly, habitually, consistently, and daily, of course it affects your nervous system. You can't say that it doesn't. As a matter of fact, this guy, Dr. Menninger said that environment is more impactful than heredity. Environment is more impactful than heredity. Now, you could be hanging around people that you don't think are the best and you think it doesn't bother you. Oh, why do you think we have the same birds of a feather flock together? Now, you may not even want to be with that flock, but you happen to grow up with that flock and it embedded all kinds of things in your nervous system. You may not even like smoke, but now you're with your friends and you don't want to feel like an oddball or whatever. So you start smoking, but you cough, but you keep doing it until your lung says, well, if you're going to keep doing this, we have to do the best that we can to do something with it. And so now it stops coughing and it tries to put this tar and nicotine and arsenic and all those many chemicals that are in cigarette smoke and put them away and do something with it. But I'm telling you guys, the point of today is that everything that you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, which is consuming, and what you eat, drink, breathe in, put on the skin, think, feel, and believe affects your heart. This is something that has to go on. Your heart goes on while you sleep, goes on while you're unconscious, goes on while you might be under some anesthetic, goes on while you may be in a coma. The heart keeps going. That it has to keep going. There's even a scripture that says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You know, I think about that and I go like, you always act like the person you think you are. You're never other than yourself. You never act outside of your character. We're all held hostage to our belief system. We all are. And I tell people, Then I know you always act like the person you think God is. If you don't think he doesn't like you and he's going to get you because you did something and now you feel guilty, so that's the way you respond. Because you're getting ready to get hit over the head because of something you thought you did. This is not a loving father. This is the father that's coming to whack you upside the head. And if you think of it that way, you're going to respond that way. Your cells, tissues, and organs respond that way. It's all, again, I mean, it's thinking. It is thinking. Your thinking controls everything. It don't matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You have to understand that you are not your thoughts. You really can shift your thinking across the board. That's what the thing is. I say, oh, good, I got 6 more minutes. Anyone have any questions? I know I started late. Let's see. Okay, good. Let's see what I see. Environment is more impactful than heredity. Oh, yeah. And you guys, the thing about it in our culture is all these arrhythmias are irregular heartbeats, and so many things can happen with the heart. You know, there are things, there's one thing called a pericardial tamponade. When the sac around the heart, that's the pericardium, the sac around the heart just fills up with fluids. And so this is the sac and this is your heart. Now your heart is trying to pump, but the sac that's filled with fluids won't let it expand. And because it can't expand, now it's depressed. And so now your cardiac output is reduced even lower than it can be. So if your cardiac output is reduced, how much can your heart pump? So now you can have this, what they call a thready pulse. And you can check your own pulse. Is it bounding? Is it strong? Is it good? Or is it like, what I mean by thready, is it like this? Real thin. And is the pulse fast? That'll show you how inactive you are. Is the pulse strong and slow? Slow and strong, I should say. But not just slow because of a lack of cardiac output. I'm telling you guys, you have to create the strength in your heart. You need to create the reserve in order to be able to take on sudden moves and unexpected exertion. Because if you live on the planet, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you think you can be walking down the street and be safe. You can be at the park, picnicking at the park. Oh, and somebody, I mean, lots of people at the park have their dogs off their leash because, oh, I know my dog. Oh, he doesn't bite. He doesn't, yeah. How many have ever heard that? Oh, he doesn't bite. He's friendly. Once you get that bite, now you're clear. But even if you're afraid, now the dog comes after you because he thinks you're doing something, now you got to run. And do you know, I said it the other day, most people over 30 years old never sprint again. 95% of the people over 30 years old do not sprint again. And then for the fellas, I told you, the body can produce 771% more testosterone through sprinting. There's no other exercise that does that. And my thing is, you start. You might start with a walk, start with a jog, start with get up and go with a faster jog and just build it up and build it up. You can go from 0 to 60. You just take your time and do it, you guys. Sometimes we just put off exercise and put off this thing until we start a resolution. And so we mentally assent, we mentally agree that we want to do this because this is my life and I have to make it better and I need to lose this weight and I need to improve my health. And we do it for a week or two and stop again. And now we have more weight, we're even more lazy. And the thing is, as you get older, you build this pattern in your nervous system. Remember, that's what we call a habit. Remember, a habit, an acquired mode of behavior, the key word acquire, an acquired mode of behavior that becomes addictive, compulsory, involuntary, literally now a mandatory way of acting fixed through repetition. It's clear, it's fixed through repetition. That's how you cultivate a habit. You don't have to be disciplined all the time. You just have to be disciplined long enough to cultivate the habit. And the habit will take you further than anything. The habit will take. Who didn't want to brush their teeth when they were a kid or a child? But they do it every day now. Well, I hope you do. Who didn't want to take a bath when they were a kid? Oh, gosh, I remember seeing these cowboy shows. They say, oh, take a bath. They say, well, I took a bath last summer. I thought that was the funniest thing. We have habits. You learn to read, you learn to write, you learn to drive. You learned everything you learned through cultivating a habit. Why can't you learn to take care of this body? This body is the temple of God, and your mind is the altar at which you pray. Yes, the mind is the altar at which you pray within this temple. And whatever you think about repeatedly, habitually, consistently, and daily is a prayer, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And if it is sad, depressed, anxious, and worrisome, that's the prayer that you're saturating your cells, tissues, and organs with. And I'd expect your heart to get better. It's not. You, again, and let's see what time it is. Oh, I got 1 minute. Any questions? Let's see. How do we create the reserve? Okay, you create the reserve, just like I said last time. If you want $3 million in the retirement, you have to start saving the money and creating more assets and investments in order for you to have that in retirement while you're working, while you have the strength and ability in your youthful years, even your what we call midlife. Even after that, you don't have to have a midlife crisis. Again, that's all made up. I'll tell you, we're under a cultural hypnosis. And because of what we give ourselves to, what we pay attention to, it comes to live in us. Do you know you have thoughts that you never thought of? They're cultural thoughts. They're not yours. It's just like the information I'm telling you now. I hope you take it in and become aware of it and not just mentally agree with it, but to make it part of your life. See, knowledge is totally different from understanding, which is totally different from wisdom. Knowledge is like, okay, I got strapped and, shipwrecked on this island. And so, there's a tree. Great, it's a tree. Now, that's knowledge. Understanding is, oh my goodness, it's an apple tree. I can eat these apples and still live until someone discovers us. Well, the wisdom is to eat the apples to nourish you until you're saved. That's the difference. It's applied knowledge. It's applied understanding. How many of us read books and don't apply anything? If we didn't read another book, literally, if we didn't read another book on the planet, we know enough, or we've heard of enough, or we paid attention to enough things to change our lives across the board. Remember, and I'm going to repeat it again. Remember, Jesus told Nicodemus, you must be born again? I tell you, 21st century language says, listen, I'm telling you guys now, if you want to be that healthy male, female, you want to be that healthy person, the guy with the robust strength and high testosterone, and you want, ladies, gentlemen, let me just say it like this. If you want to signal your body and hormones that you are fit for survival, you have to do that. You have to create that. In other words, you have to become someone else because the person you are now is not doing it. So you have to become someone else. You have to become that person that's doing it. Because if you do it, you'll have it. But you have to be it first. You have to become it. Then when you become it, you'll do it. Then when you do it, you'll have it. Having it comes as because of what you become. The question is, who are you? Who are you? Right where you are in your life, what is it demonstrating? Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you what you think, feel, and believe. Clearly, I want you to get this. This is the last thing I'm going to say so I can see any more questions. This is what you literally think, feel, and believe. I'm going to tell you exactly how to understand it. Look at what you do. That is literally what you think, feel, and believe. You may not like what you do, but that's what you think, feel, and believe because the mind does exactly what it thinks you want it to do. It only responds to two things, the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. And the pictures you make in your head are based on the words you say to yourself. And you literally always move toward the familiar and away from the unfamiliar. But the unfamiliar could be the best thing in the world. It's just unfamiliar because of where you grew up. And so what you think, feel, and believe, that's unfamiliar. Right? And it's like the best thing, but the familiar, that's why somebody may say, what kind of mate you want? Well, I want a Christian thug. You want him to be a nice guy, but you want him to have an edge at the same time. I get paid. The heart knows his own bitterness, and the stranger intermeddleth not with his joy. That's what makes you happy. But that's what it does. And it may not be the best thing, but it's how the mind thinks. And again, whatever you pay attention to comes to live in you as your thought life. And listen, you always move in the direction of your most dominant thought. You always move in the direction of your most dominant thought. So look at your life. Your life is showing your dominant thought in every area of your life. And that's why I say you tolerate it. If you don't tolerate it, then you need to do something about it. And until then, yes, you tolerate it. Can you tell me you love your life? That's a different thing. Okay. How can we do a total body reset? Oh, how you do a total body reset? Go to Total Body Reset Now. N-O-W. TotalBodyResetNow.com. TotalBodyResetNow.com. Comes in some direction. Let's see. Got that. That would be great. Oh, such a profound statement. Oh, thanks, Chris. How do we address this heart issue? Is it all mental? No, it's not all mental. But you know what? It starts with mental, because how do you work out? You have to believe that it's necessary. You have to understand that it's necessary. And I can tell you, it's absolute necessary, because the number one killer in the country is a heart attack. I've literally, it's not anecdotal. Well, I guess you still have to call it anecdotal for me, but that's been my experience for 32 years on the fire department. And my friend, Chris, I'm sure he's experienced it. I just had maybe some of you saw it, Friday night, we had a firefighters Christmas party, which we have every year. And we show up and we see guys that are active and retired, and we love it. I mean, it's just sharing experience. It's like being in this house with all of these guys that you know you can count on. I mean, think about it. Everyone that got on the job went through the drill tower. You know, that's like the police academy with the police. We called it the drill tower. So everybody that went through that, if they graduated, we know they have our backs. And we knew everyone's position. You knew how to drive the fire engine. You knew how to be in command as the captain. You know, if you were the person on the side you had to hook up to the hydrant. We call it laying the line, or you had to go in with the hose line and put the fire out. That's what I said. You can actually have 4 strangers that work at a station that they've never worked at together, don't know each other, and we can still put the fire out like a football team running a play, because we all know our position and we can do it. That's how you want to dictate your life. Again, tell yourself what to think, feel, and believe, and work that life out. Let's see, I live with my parents who smoked with all the windows and doors closed, God, since I was a baby until just recently. I have difficulty breathing. Is there any way to restore my lung capacity? Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember I said the lungs is the only digestive system for air? And remember, air, this bulk air that we take in is 79% nitrogen. It's only 21% oxygen. So whatever air we take in, we have to extract that from the air. We have to extract that oxygen from the air, attach it, and it automatically attaches to all the red blood cells and take it to where it needs to go. I mean, the body works with such redundancy. You know, one thing fails, it happens, it keeps you going, but you know the things that are automatic. You don't think about respiration, digestion, circulation, elimination. But the thing is, you can increase your tidal volume or your lung capacity. So now that you're out of the door, and I'm sorry to hear that they close the windows, and because I remember going on a lady that had emphysema. This is really late at night, and her son came out, and I said, "Well, what's wrong with your mom?" She said, "Well, she has emphysema." I said, "Oh, she was a smoker." He was like, "No, she wasn't a smoker." I'm like, "Yeah, if she has emphysema, she was a smoker, definitely." He was like, "No, she never smoked." And then he told me his dad smoked and died of lung cancer. So now she's suffering emphysema from secondhand smoke. I know it's tragic, but you know what? You can expand that lung capacity. And all you have to do is start. You start going up to your anaerobic threshold. You start to get out of breath, just a little out of breath. Start moving, maybe 20 seconds. You know, I tell you, if I said, okay, you guys, we're going to all join together. We're going to meet on Saturday. And we're all going to go run for a 10K, 6.2 miles. You pace yourself. Well, let's just make it easy, 2 miles. You still pace yourself. But if I said, okay, I want you to run back and forth in my gym for 20 seconds. That's it. Give me 20 seconds. If you ran back and forth for 20 seconds, you're like, okay, you'll give me a little more intensity. And you stop and rest and catch your breath. And then give me 20 more seconds. And stop and rest and catch your breath. If I have you do that 10 times, I have you doing that 10 times at a little higher rate than you would if you were trying to jog for 2 miles. But again, I'd have you do it the next day and the next day and the next day. Do you know by the second week, your lung capacity is going to stretch out, you're going to increase your tidal volume, and your heart strength is going to increase at the same time. See, that's what I'm talking about with the total body reset. It's taking everything. I'm talking about changing every cell, tissue, and organ. What you do with your physical body, your heart and lungs translates to all the cells, tissues, and organs. Again, if your body's weak, your liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, your heart, lungs, every cell, tissue, and organ is weak. Because how can your cells have oxygen? For people that missed me before in the other days, let me just remind you that your cells are exactly like you. Your cells eat, they drink, they breathe, they poop, They get pissed off like you do. Your cells have memory and imagination. Like I said, that's why you look like your parents and not like my parents, but you also look like your parents on the inside as well as the outside. Your cells literally have consciousness. Yes, your cells think, feel, and believe what you think, feel, and believe. And your cells are constantly eavesdropping on your internal dialogue and your external speech. So you don't even have to say it, and your cells are picking up on it all the time. And whatever you're thinking and saying, if it's not true, honest, just, pure, loving, and a good report, oh, you're taking your cells down. You're taking your immune system down. You want to know why you can't get up, why you don't have the capacity? You just don't need reserve capacity in your heart. You need reserve capacity in your lungs. You need reserve capacity in your muscles. Because again, what if you just have to sprint? See, the way you affect all the other organs is because of what you do physically with the physical skeletal muscles. So think about it. When I had to go have a backpack of breathing apparatus on my back with a hose pack over there and a rotary saw in this hand and an extinguisher in this hand, and then I got all this other equipment, so now I'm weighing like 220, 230, and I'm going up 25 flights of stairs before I even start putting the fire out. I better have some reserve, because I get to the 25th floor and it's like, okay, I'm done, I'm spent, time out, can't put this fire out. You can't say that. No, you can't. My firefighter buddies will tell you, no, you can't say that. You better move your butt. That's exactly right. But I'm telling you guys, how to resist this hard issues. So that's what I wanted to say. Any more questions? Let's see. Oh yeah, again, take your time and build up that lung capacity. Join the Total Body Reset. I'm telling you, it's going to change you across the board in just 30 days. And the thing is, you're going to start where you can. I don't care if the pushing part, the body pushes, it squats, and it pulls. I don't care if we start letting you push on the wall. And then we're going to build you from there, from the wall to the kitchen counter, from the kitchen counter to the table, from the table to the chair, from the chair to the sofa, from the sofa to the floor, off your knees. Now straighten your legs out. There's a way to get there, you guys. It's always a way. And the way is gradual, but it's timed. It's rhythm. And that's how you get there. So let's see. Last question. Well, I think that's it, you guys. I know I went over. I know I went late. I'm so glad you guys stayed with me during this time. Any other questions? No, I appreciate you guys coming on, Dr. How can I make my big muscles smaller? Well, that's funny. Well, you know what? You can't. You still want to move the muscles. You still have to exercise them. But I will tell you, you got to eat more raw fruits and vegetables. No, really. Fruits are cleansers. They clean the body. They sweep everything out. Vegetables are builders. So you still want to build a muscle. When you say make your big muscles smaller, I would dare say you have fat overlaying your muscles and you calling it big muscles. Again, your body adapts to what you demand of it. So the thing is, you really probably want to get rid of more fat, which making the muscle you do have more efficient. Remember when I talked about aging? It's a decline in mitochondrial function, and the mitochondria are the energy-producing cells in the body. Well, what organ do you think has more mitochondria or energy-producing cells than any other organ? Back to the heart. No matter what you do, the heart. Think about it like this. Your brain uses 25% of your energy all the time. I don't care how little your energy is, it's going to use 25%. So if your brain is using 25% and now you don't have much, how much do you have left for the heart? And if the heart can't pump very well, you're not going to get blood to your brain. Any of you ever heard of anemia of the extremities, like cold hands and feet? You know, anemia of the extremities, so that's extreme. What's farthest away from your heart? It's your arms, the extremities, your hands, and your feet. Well, you don't think of your head as an extremity. Well, it is. And it's above everything. And gravity is constantly pulling down on you. So imagine if you don't have enough circulation to bring the blood back up out of the legs into the heart. That's why you see people with pedal edema. You know, pedal, pedestrian, pedal, your feet, edema, swelling, inflammation. You've seen people with the swollen feet, the swollen ankles. I mean, it can even go up above the knee. I've seen people's legs where it just comes all the way up to their waist. And then they try to elevate them at night and put them up so the fluid will drain back in and get back into the system. That's not a way to live. We got to get the heart working. Circulation is everything. The life of the flesh is the blood. How do we create the reserve? That's the way we do it. I mean, that's it. Well, you guys, I know I'm sorry for the delay tonight. We were working on some things, and I definitely got a new computer, but I figured it out. Got it figured out. So tomorrow I'll be at 6 o'clock. So now it is 6. I know it was Doc Romeo Live at 5 because I have to run the studio myself now, and we close at 6. So right before 6, I close up, run up, have everything set up, and just jump right in. So if you want, if you like, just write your questions out now. Tomorrow I'm going to take more questions than anything. I'm going to talk about the body as a whole and how everything is affected, because the life of the body has to do with the life of the cells. If you take care of your cells, you automatically take care of your tissues. If you take care of your tissues, you take care of the organs. If you take care of the organs, you take care of your organ system. If you take care of the organ system, you take care of your life. But it's about your cells. And we know most people eat for flavor and taste or to feed their bellies. They don't eat to feed their cells. So now the cells don't get what they need. And we're going to talk about it again, because I want you to understand the cells even in a more graphic way, because then you can understand why you are where you are with your health. Because you can put stuff in your mouth all day. If it doesn't get to your cells are starving. So they don't have the energy to do their job. Now, I know how it feels when your heart doesn't have energy to do its job. Your lungs don't have enough energy. Your liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, your ovaries, your uterus, fallopian tubes, your testicles, your prostate gland doesn't have enough to do its job. What does that look like? It's called dis-ease. And think of it as dis-ease. That's all it is, dis-ease. So what are you doing? It's your body saying, hello, hello, listen to me. Stop doing what you've been doing to cause me to signal you in this way. It is not asking for a drug. Again, you cannot poison the body into health. Give the body what it's asking for in physicality and physical fitness and in nutrition and good thoughts. Just remember I said you have acid foods and fluids, you have acid thoughts, acid emotions, acid relationships. I know lots of people that drive to an acid job every day. That's why they have the heart attack on Monday. It's the acid has gone over beyond their tolerance level. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about health across the board. Get your questions ready for tonight. And I will gladly see you guys tomorrow. What is this also? What if everything I eat gives me gas, even fruits and vegetables? Oh, yeah. You just got to clean out that waste. It's like, this is the last question I'm going to answer, and we'll get back to it tomorrow. It's like you inherited this mansion down south in Mississippi, but it's been sitting there for years. And so now you have to go in, and it's 2 stories. So you got to sweep all the dirt and dust and the cobwebs, from upstairs to downstairs to through the dining room to through the living room. Well, you have to get them out the door. Otherwise, you're sweeping this dust around and around and around. So what it is you've been eating so much food without fiber. Now that you eat fruits and vegetables with lots of fiber to broom all of that stuff out of the body, well, that's why you need the cleanser. That's why you need to get on a total body reset, or at least just get the program to sweep all of this stuff out. You can literally change all of that in 7 days, really. Anyway, you guys, I don't want to keep you. I know I went over. I started late, so I wanted to go over a little bit more. But thank you again. Thank you for being there. Again, write your questions down. I will be here at 6 tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Oh, and let me know. And then the following week, I'm going back to Colorado to be with my wife. So I'm going to be gone Christmas Eve to New Year's Eve. And I still may jump on to do something live real quick just to wish you guys a happy holidays and do whatever. But my thing is, you want to stay conscious of what you're doing, because when you're conscious of living your life the best that you can, your cells are consciously aware as well. And that's what's going to take us through now. Think about all of this stuff now. So when we get to January 1st, we've already cultivated the movement and the life and the energy and the frequency and the vibration that carry us through into the new year. We can't start January 1st and expect to create the momentum. Let's create the momentum from this day forward, and let's live the best life that we can. Let's create this community, you guys. This is all a youth movement, okay? Thank you, guys. I will see you tomorrow. If I can get that going. Oh. Okay. Oh, what is that? Dictionary.